Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another special edition of Orta Know Better. Joined here with Andy Couzens and Karl from OKB. How's things, gents?
Very good, thank you.
Good, thanks, yeah.
Good, pleased to hear it. So Andy, thanks ever so much again for agreeing to join Karl and myself for a bit of an informal chat on your time at Leeds and your career, really. What are you doing with yourself these days? I know you got a personal training gym going on over near Guiseley, is that right?
Yeah, well, I have. Yeah, that's closed. I've also got another business which is called Revive, which is an IV business. So we have doctors and nurses who work for us. We do IV therapy. So we put the goodness back in people's bodies, get rid of hangovers. Is one part, but we, more than anything now with COVID and other things which are out there. The preventative health side of it is something which we pride ourselves on. So we can increase your immune system with extra vitamin C. We can do B12 shots. We've sort of got something called Slim Boost, an anti-aging infusion as well. So we've got quite a lot of things which, the present moment in time are very important for a lot of people, to look after themselves a lot better. The healthier we are, the more we can fight this horrible disease, and the reason none of us can go watch Leeds at the minute and we're watching everything on telly and we're doing all these Zooms and so on and so forth. So, the sooner we can get back to a normality, then the better. And if we can have a little bit of a say in that, then even better from our point of view.
Wicked.
Jeez, Andy, just going back to that anti-aging stuff that you had, we could have done with a bit of that being dished out throughout the crowd for the last 16 years, while we were down in the doldrums.
I think we've all had a bit of a rough time the last 16 years. The disappointing thing is that we just can't enjoy this year because some of the football we're playing is outstanding. We've had a lot of heartache. We've had a lot of ups and downs as we sing, and we all know about. I think you look at what happened against Derby a couple of years ago. It's to where we are now. It's scary, really, where the football club is and how big we've come, and also people actually liking Leeds United, which is also another part of it, which I don't know if we like that too much. But
no, we're not a fan of that.
I'll take it off the pundits. I don't mind it from the fans. They can give us as much stick as they want because we don't like anybody else either. So, but from pundits, I think when you get Gary Neville, and I know he's a Man United and everything else, but I think Gary Neville's very well respected within the commentary side of things. And when he's praising us like he is, you've got to take so much pride in that. I think especially when we've got other pundits out there who decide that we aren't good enough, and when the way we're playing is not right, and the manager's philosophy isn't right. Well, if his philosophy is not right, then Pep Guardiola's philosophy is not right, and he's winning the league at the minute and gone out and won as many trophies as he has. So I'll take some credit from the pundits instead of the criticism. Absolutely. Every fan in the world can criticise as much as they want because we like that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shipley lad, is that right? Born in Shipley?
Born and bred over that way. Yeah. So I was born in Bradford, in Shipley, lived in Baildon all my life. Grew up there, obviously then went to Leeds as a schoolboy and, got through the ranks, kind of funny way, really. I actually went on trial, and like you did in them days, we weren't picked up at 6 or 7 year old like they are now. We were literally 14 before we could actually sign. And
right.
I used to, I played for Bradford Boys and Bingley Juniors over this way. And, I don't know if anybody remembers, but the Northern Ireland goalkeeper, Eric McManus, who was at Bradford, I used to play with his son, Stephen McManus. And we both went on trial, and we needed a right back. And on the trial, and Stevie just put his hand up and just goes, "Cuz will play right back. He's a midfielder, but he'll play right back. It's not a problem." I played right back, and I got through, and he didn't, and he went off to play in other places. And I, in a way, the rest is history a little bit, really.
Yeah. So just talking about that youth period at Leeds, you played infamously in the win in 1993, the Youth Cup against Man United. Yeah. Some real players in that. I've had a look today actually over the team sheets in there. You got the likes of playing against Gary Neville, Keith Gillespie, Nicky Beckham, Scholes, and Robbie Savage, I believe, as well was on the team sheet that day. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Leeds team, that beat them as well. You got yourself, Noel Whelan, Jamie Forrester, Tinkler. What was it like to play in that team? And did you have an idea that the players you were playing both with and against were going to go on to the things and win the things potentially that they did?
I think with the, if I talk about the Leeds lads first, we Paul Hart came in and had a massive influence on all of us. I think did Paul. He was a hard man. He put us in line, but we played decent football as well. We had Snowy up top. Noel. We don't know him as Noel, by the way. We know him as Snowy because he settled in so quick. But Snowy up top was a big lad, and we could play off him a little bit. Snowy obviously went off and did what he did, and with Coventry, Middlesbrough, and elsewhere. But look, we had a real togetherness. We all speak now. We all have a WhatsApp group together. Even I kind of go back to this, and we've got a WhatsApp group which is all that 92, 93 era. Not just the youth team, and the people who play in the first team and things, but the first team is Chrissy White's on there, Chrissy Fairclough's on there, Rod Wallace is on there. We all keep in touch. And I think that's when football was very much of a family. And I think, we had some sad news the other day, and, from one of the players, and, all the lads were straight on, and, we all, we're on the WhatsApp group straight away. And, if you need anything, you need to talk, if you need to do anything, we were there for them. And that kind of togetherness was something which was definitely there at that time when, obviously the first team had won the league the year before or the season before, and then they struggled that year in particular. We personally went on, and I think we were that carrier of Leeds United following it on that next season. And, we struggled a little bit early doors in the rounds, and then we played Norwich away in the semi-final, I think it was. And, we had about 6,000 or 7,000, I think, at Ellen Road that night, which was a big crowd for us. We were all playing reserve team football. We had people who were touching on the first team as well at the same time. We were playing week in, week out for the reserves, and we were playing against men, and I think that helped us. I think physically we're a little bit more than what Man United were. But look, the lads itself, we had a great bunch of lads. We got on really well. We had some very good times. Let's put it that way. We had court cases going on. If you did anything wrong, you got a court case. The discipline was a big thing. And some of the court cases were you'd just be locked up. You'd be sacked now if you did them. Which I will tell you, which I won't mention any names, but something had happened. So we tied him to the medical bench in the first team room. We DP all over him, wire brush, stuck him down with gaffer tape, and took him out onto Ellen Road, outside the traffic. Left him in the middle of the road for a good 10 minutes. The gaffer came in, and Paul Hart and the gaffer came in. He said, "What's such and such out there for?" And we said, "Well, it's a couple of cases, found guilty." And he said, "All right, no problems. Give him 10 minutes and go pick him back up again." The discipline. That's where we learned. We learned things from that. We had Gary Kelly was there. He was our first year when it was a class as a second year, but it was a first year pro the same time we came in. The Irish influence was coming into the football club as well. So we had a real good camaraderie, and as I say, we're still in touch with a lot of people. But that night in particular, we didn't really know what was happening. I think coming to the actual game itself, we knew a lot of the Man United lads. A lot of our lads had played for England. Tinks was the captain for England at that point as well. From schoolboy area coming through. They all knew each other. We all knew each other. We still speak to them now. I was with Scholesy when we could last year. We were at a golf do together. I still speak to people like Robbie Fowler and people like that. Which are the Liverpool contingent, which again we're all the same age. I played in the under-21s with Beckham, and we kept in touch for a long time through Adidas and things. I was sponsored by Adidas, he was sponsored by Adidas, so we used to go down there, and it was different. Football was totally different. I think the biggest thing and the biggest difference between Manchester United at that time and that era coming through and us coming through was two things. I think they were coming into a successful team, and they were drip fed in, and Fergie looked after them, and they got coached. I think with us, You know, no disrespect to Mick Hennigan because he was a legend, you know, and Howard Wilkinson when we were coming through, but we didn't really get coached until Strack started taking up the coaching. And, you know, he was, when we were a pro, and he was the one who kind of took the under-21s. And Gary Kelly was playing week in, week out for Leeds. And, you know, Gaz was still in the afternoons with Strack to do, you know, to do the extra training. So I think from our point of view, it was Manchester United went off and got coached a little bit more, got dragged into the teams a little bit more. Phil Neville told us that Fergie got him in and he played the week before and he played really, really well. And Fergie got him in and said, I need you. You played brilliant on Saturday, but I need you for such and such a game. I can't remember what game it was, but I need you for this game to be fit and ready and raring to go for this game. He says, oh, all right, yeah, perfect. It comes out, you know, chin up and thinking, brilliant. Went and had a look at the fixtures. The fixture he was talking about was 2 months down the line. But lo and behold, he played in that game because he said that he was going to play in that game. He was already in. So he'd earmarked, I think, when these players were going to be playing. And I think that, you know, Beckham made his debut against Leeds at Old Trafford. I played in that game in 95, I think it was 94, 95 or something like that. You know, the rest is history with him. You know, he went off to be a superstar. And what a player he was, and what an ambassador he is for English football now and world football, really, I suppose, where he's got to. You know, it's a bit frustrating from the Leeds lad point of view that we didn't hear as much as what them boys did, but, you know, these things happen.
Yeah.
Did you feel, Andy, did you feel like after that FA Youth Cup win, did you feel like that was nearly like a springboard for you for a lot of you to get the opportunity to play in the first team, or were you disappointed in how long it potentially took you to get that first appearance, or how did you feel after that?
I think it was you know, for me personally, again, I'd actually made my debut in the first team. Before then, I played against Grand Passy. I don't know if anybody remembers that one, which was that year. It was the year when we were playing games, and we were playing lots of games at the time. And, you know, I played in that one. Actually, I was hungover that morning as well because I thought I'd go home and enjoy myself. So I'd gone out. I was an apprentice, didn't expect to be playing in the first team, and I ended up playing the first team. I ended up playing the whole game, and so I'd had a little bit of and there was 27,000 there, and I think I'd got a feel for it then. I was playing regular in the reserve team. I think, you know, the problem we have now in football, just generally, I think the reserve teams, the under-23s of what they call them now, are just not competitive enough. So to get these kids coming through and playing and being in the first team, I'm a bit more ruthless, I think, than what other people would be. I think if you're good enough, you're going to be good enough early. You know, we look at Shackleton now; he's good enough. You know, the kid is good enough. You look at Calvin; he was good enough. Pascal is good enough. You know, these kids are good enough. If they're good enough at 19, then they're not going to be good enough. If they're not good enough at 19, they're not going to be good enough at 23. Realistically. Yeah.
Interesting you say that, Andy. Interesting. We had quite a heated debate about this a couple of weeks on the main pod about if you're good enough, you probably wouldn't be playing under 23s football. You know, you'd be either on loan at a lower league first team to get to go to the school of hard knocks, so to speak. Just to sort of reiterate what your point that you said earlier about being a little bit more ready than Manchester United were because you've been playing with the big boys, some of you. So yeah, really, really interesting point that.
Yeah, I just think the kids now, I think in the Premiership now, I think a lot of people, the kids now, they expect they potentially could be millionaires without even playing a football match. Yeah. Is that right? Is that wrong? You know, for me personally, you know, it's wrong. You know, I know players who played for England. I know one player who played for England, playing for Manchester United. He was on £150 a week when he made his debut, I think it was, for England. £150 a week.
Unbelievable.
You know, my first contract was £150 a week. You know, you look at that now, you look at an apprentice's wage now is £150 a week, you know, to be an apprentice. And, you know, my apprentice wage was £29.50 and we got a free bus pass. We had to get ourselves into work and we had to get ourselves there for 9 o'clock. And I think the kids now get it very, very easy. And I think that I do think that causes a problem. I think obviously football clubs don't want to lose the best players. They don't want to lose a Kelvin, for instance. And And I get that, but on the same side of it is your scouting system and your managers and your coaches and things like that will be able to also be able to tell you if they're good enough to play in the first team. And this is where for me, you know, the reserve team football as was potentially is more important, because, you know, I can remember playing against Manchester United in the reserve team down at Ellen Road. We got beat 7-0, I think it was. They had Roy Keane, Brian Robson, Dion Dublin, Mike Phelan.
Jesus.
You know, we literally had a kids team, we had a youth team playing, really, and we got absolutely battered. You know, the manager came in, he gave us a bollocking, you know, and we went away and we have to learn from that. And I think as a kid, you know, at a big club, you don't learn too much playing in the reserves. And, you know, you want these players who are not playing week in, week out, not to be playing under 23s. They want to be playing against, you know, a bit more, you know, men. So they know what a tackle is. They know how to handle themselves a little bit more. They know how to you know, if the game's not working for them, how to change it. You know, an experienced pro would be the person to help you, and they'd nurture you through a little bit. I think the problem we've got now is we have players who are very much like robots. They need to be told what to do all the time instead of being able to just change. You know, I think Leeds at this present moment in time may be one of the only clubs which can just change. And, you know, you look at Dallas, he's all over the place. And that's just him evolving around that. You know, who would have said 3 years ago that Dallas would have been one of our first picks on the team sheet? In the Premiership, nobody would have done.
Absolutely.
I just think that, you know, kids nowadays need to learn and learn quicker. And I think don't be afraid of losing them, because if they're not good enough, it's a ruthless business. If they're not good enough, they go to another football club. They go to a lower division football club if they're not good enough. Don't keep them on their 5, 10, 15, 20 grand a week, whatever they're on at these big clubs, and never to be played, you know, football again. You know, it really pisses me off. I saw a thing a bit ago about a guy who's never played in the first team, never been even in the squad, and he's bought his mum and dad a house.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, you shouldn't be go and earn your stripes first before you go and before you go and do that. It's a mental world. Look, I'm not bitter about what people are earning now. That's fine, but I just think that I think the kids need to be ready earlier, like they used to be. And if you weren't good enough, you got moved on. And, you know, 18, you pretty much, there was, you know, for us when we played in the youth team final. If we go back to that, you know, we had quite a few people who played in that who didn't get a contract. You know, Simon Oliver didn't get a contract. Kevin Daly didn't get a contract in there. You know, Matthew Smithard, he got a contract, but a bit later. It was the next year on. But out of the second years, there was 2 of them who didn't. Alex Byrne, he was the same. He was in that group. He never got a contract. You know, there was 3 players who had just gone and won the Youth Cup who never got a contract. Now, if that was now, those 3 players would be on a contract until they were 23, 24-year-old. And I think, you know, playing against your Roy Keanes, or you're playing against your Steve Harknesses, or you're playing against your players like that in, I suppose, in the Liverpools and the Man Uniteds of my era, you know, you've still got Michael Owen coming through. You've still got Stevie Gerrard coming through. I think you saw more homegrown players actually playing for their teams, and in that kind of continuity throughout the football club, which I think is massively important.
With that in mind, then, do you think that as a nation, we're probably been a little bit detrimental to our chances of having a successful English football team moving forward, or do you think it's a worldwide problem?
I think to a certain point it could be a worldwide problem. I think in this country, I think the problem we have is we've got some very, very good young players playing in the Premiership at this present moment in time. And a lot of them there's also going to be a lot of players who potentially would be in their first teams. You know, you look at the game yesterday. Let's look at the game, you know, Arsenal, I think their whole squad was something like 160 million or something. Yeah. You know, you look at Leeds' squad, it's about 40 million. That's a huge gap between the two. So how, you know, a young player coming out now and playing, are they going to want to come to Leeds United because they've got a chance to play? Because you know Bielsa's going to play the kids. He's going to put them in. If they're good enough, he'll put them in. Are you going to go to Arsenal? Are you going to go to Man United? Are you going to go somewhere like that? Because generally, you might most likely not going to get into their first team. you might be there till 23. You know, you might be there till 25, but still never play a first team game. Well, it depends on what you want as a human, as a player, as a, you know, is it success you want? Is it money you want? And I think that's the problem on that. But I think with the players we've got at this present moment in time, Gareth Southgate has the biggest problem of picking kids who can play together. It's not a, you know, and we are a prime example. We're a team at this present moment in time. And the best team we've had, you know, for England has been a team, not a team of individuals. You go back to the so-called golden area with Gerrard, Lampard as being the main two. We tried to fit them into a squad and into a team, which really didn't work. Somebody needed to be strong enough and go, Gerrard, you're out. Lampard, you're out. Whoever it will be needs to go to one side. And you know, we've got some great talent in this country. We've got some great talent who also play abroad. And I think if we play as a team, then you know, we can do very well as a nation. I think it doesn't come down to if it's the apprenticeship and it's working your way through that. It's about playing football matches, and it's about playing in the Premier League or the Bundesliga or out in Italia or, you know, whatever it will be. You've got to be playing football matches.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm sorry, Karl, just to ramble on. And we know you're Irish and you don't really care about English football, but so you represented Leeds first team over 4 years, 93 to 97, and I think you made just short of 30 appearances with chipped in with a couple of goals there, and you played under two managers, from what I understand, Wilco and George Graham. Anything you'd like? Anything that sticks out about the two of them? Who was your favourite? Did you have a preference even, or did you learn more from one or the other?
Well, I think, you know, Howard gave me my opportunity. You know, I actually played just under 40 games with European games and things like that. You know, George came in. I started the season the year with George, when George came in, and Howard was the manager, and Howard kind of lost it, I think, when we went to, I was talking about this the other day, when we played against Villa in the cup final. And he kind of lost it a little bit as Howard. I think he'd lost the changing room with a couple of players in particular who were kind of dictating a lot of things which was going on. We were playing people out of position, we were playing people who were injured and so on. But that season, start of that season, we played Derby away. First game of the season, we drew, I think, 3-3. We just signed Nigel Martin. Sharpie had just come in. Rushy had just come in. Rushy had just come in. Boyer had just come in. So, you know, he's bought well. I'd had a chat with him, and he was like, look, you're a big part of my squad this year, and I want you to be ready. I want you to be playing. I want you to be playing, you know, if possible, week in, week out, and things, but you're going to be times when we're going to drop you and then you're going to be back in and things like that. And Howard was never a person really to talk to anybody like that. You normally went to see Howard and you generally came out from Howard, and it took you 3 weeks to understand what he'd actually said to you, because he was so far in advance of everything which had gone on before. He really was. His methods were different to a lot of people. And then we had George came in, and I started the first 8 games under George, and everything was fine. And my contract was up at the end of the year, and you know we played against Arsenal away, and that was it. Just bang, see you later. I do apologise if you can hear there's some work going on next door, and I might get some noise coming through. But George came in, played Arsenal away, and it was a weird one. Rod Wallace's missus was pregnant. He got a phone call saying he had to get off. So we literally got off the bus when we were on the way to Highbury, and he got a taxi back to Southampton to see his missus to get the pregnancy and everything else. We had Ian Hart playing up front. We had Paul Shepherd playing centre midfield, and I was playing centre midfield, and I played against Patrick Vieira. I was man marking Patrick Vieira, and literally just got absolutely battered, I have to say. And George was an interesting character. He after that game, he just came to, well, even halfway through that game, I got dragged off at half time, and he just said, "Cuz, this is how we should be playing. This is how we should be playing. This is what we should be doing." And it's like, you're kind of looking at you thinking you're at Leeds United, not at Arsenal anymore. So George was a bit of a strange one. My contract talks were in a shower and things. That was a bit strange. He was getting changed after training and dragged me in, and he was literally in the shower by the end of the conversation. So yeah, George was a bit of a strange one. He wasn't really there. Paddy was the one who really took quite a lot of the training through the week.
Right.
If I lost you there, you all froze for a little bit.
Yeah, you did. We're only for a second or two. I'm sure it won't be anything too serious. I think we got you back now. So you moved on. Was it just a case of not renewing your contract? Then you moved on to Carlisle in '97.
No, I kind of. I always wanted to sign a new contract. I wanted to sign a contract at the start of the year, and it was kind of in the talks with Howard, and then it went on hold really, and with my agent and stuff as soon as George came in, and we I think there was some initial talks and things like that. But then obviously I wasn't playing, and then it was different in them days. I put a transfer request in because he turned down an approach from somebody, which was Wigan. He turned down an approach from them, and he turned that down and never told me, and I got wind of it. And so it was like, right, okay, well, look, what do we do? I want to try and instigate. I want to play football. I don't want to be sat. I was sat literally with the kids training, with a few of us at that point. Carlton Palm was another one doing that. Ian Rush was taking training. We had to come in, and Rushy just told us what we needed to do and stuff. So, football at that point wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't great at Leeds, and I wanted to leave, and because I wanted to play football. And that was the bottom line. I very nearly signed for Osasuna, and then we found out that they weren't paying the wages, so that kind of took a kibosh. And I went on trial to Rapid Vienna out in Austria, so I went there for a week, and that went really, really well. That was done. It was a done deal. Everything was sorted. Showed me my house, and this shows you how fickle football is. Showed me my house. I knew what I was going to be on. I'd gone to the guy to see where I got my car from. So the captain took me to there and said he's going to come in on Monday and sort a car out for you. No problems, all this kind of stuff. So all we literally needed to do was sign the contract the next day. And we understand that the guy, one of the agents who was working out there, who was the in-betweener, asked for some extra cash, and they pulled the plug straight away.
Bastards.
And then I ended up... Yeah, absolutely. Because that would have been a really good move. Played Man United that year in the European Cup, and then we got the Leeds actually bought the left back from there as well. I'm trying to think of his name now. Back then, but he came in, and I was then going in to play obviously midfield, but also to fill in at the fullbacks areas and stuff. So, yeah, that was a bit of a shitter, really, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was something I really wanted to do, and I really wanted to play abroad and things. I ended up signing for Carlisle, and which was fine when Mervyn was there, but then Merv got the sack, and then the chairman took over, which was Michael Knighton. Do I need to say any more? If I can swear, then I will swear.
Yeah, hey, it's an adult pod. Do what you want, Andy.
Right, well, he was a twat. To say the least. We hated each other from day one, really. We just didn't get on. He tried to run the football club. He managed it. He'd turn up when the press were there and all that kind of stuff. And we just clashed. I played 24 games that year, and we found out there was a clause in my contract for 25 games, and they would have had to have paid a bit more money Leeds' way if I'd have played that. And I started 24 that year. So yeah, it's one of them, and then you just get injuries, and I ended up at Blackpool, got injured, and that was it really. And then came out and got into what I'm doing really, the PT stuff, and then obviously the other bits. And I work down at Leeds now as well, so I do the hosting down at Leeds, and we with the legends and stuff. So I'm in that group. So I'm either hosting or I'm on the mic answering the questions. So we still have a real good laugh. I'm down there, certainly been down there for the last 5 years, every game pretty much. Which is it's just a real pity that we're not there now. That's the biggest thing for all of us.
Yeah, you must be missing meeting up with the lads on a Saturday like everyone else now, I'd say, at the moment, if it was, such a regular thing for you every home game,
I think the problem we've all got at the minute, I think, is that we go to the games, and the biggest thing which we miss out of football, every footballer you'll ask, the biggest thing they miss will be very simple. It's the dressing room and the crack you have with the boys. You don't miss the training, you don't miss the injuries, you don't miss that kind of. Obviously, match days is different, but you miss the crack with the lads. And that's what we still have our Zoom calls, and we're still in touch. We do a Zoom call before every game with some of the hospitality areas, and we have a bit of a laugh on there and a joke and stuff and things. The videos start throwing around on our WhatsApp group and things, and our match days won't be the same. We're all dreading it, to be honest, the first match, and I've got to be honest, because Norman won't be there this time, and I think we're all a little bit apprehensive, really. I've got to say, to turn up to be there, and I think it'll be a bit of an eerie place to start with, because I don't think it'll be suddenly right. Yeah, everything's open, the 38,000 going, but we still have a laugh. That we get together and we have a, we can take the mick out of each other. We can take the mick out of each other a little bit more than the others, but we still have a good crack together. And I think the camaraderie of everybody, you think of the supporters going to the pub and having a few pints with the mates before the game, and getting that adrenaline going. And I feel for the players at the minute, because it's like there's just no. Rafinha at the minute, Tony Drigo's telling us he's unbelievable. Like, everything about him is unbelievable. And we're sat there. You imagine 48,000 there, if we get this new stand up, cheering and singing and the noise.
And Megan Cale, imagine 38,000 watching him Meg Cale like he did.
End his career.
Absolutely. Well, Cale he'll run off, won't he? I think you look at the games and you look at what we're all missing at the minute. We have a team which, and the noise that we know Ellen Road can make. We'd have beaten Arsenal at home. I think we'd have beaten Everton. We'd have got back to Everton. We'd have got back to 2-2 against Everton. Wolves at home, I don't think would have gone down the result we did. I think we'd have most likely got something out of that game. And they're the games when the supporters are needed. And then we can all go off into the pub after, and we can all have a chinwag and moan about this and a moan about that and so on. I think, there's a lot of people missing it, mate. I think the mental health of a lot of people is tough, and I think that football, even as it is now, is a bit of a relief. But when it comes back, I think it'll be a real relief for a lot of people, a lot of wives as well.
Yeah. We had Simon Johnson here a couple of weeks back, and he was touching upon mental health and that. And it's really refreshing to hear that even though you're from probably a different era of football to today, that mental health still is a real important part of everyone's everyday life. But certainly for ex-footballers who've sort of been right up there, and at the moment they're sort of confined to such a small space. One thing I did want to ask you, Andy, was you're obviously quite vocal in the press and stuff around particular players. I've seen a couple of articles last year about you offering vocal support for people like Berardi, who should have had a new contract, and more recently for Bamford on his England call up as well. Really good to see. Really, I love to see ex-players, supporting the current lads. But I mean, Berardi's just come back, isn't it? Hasn't he? So I'm excited to see him again. I think one of the things you said in that interview was how important it was to have a popular figure around the changing room like Berardi. He's obviously a fan favourite. He loves the club. Who was that guy in your playing day?
We had a bunch of them.
Radebe must have been up there, mustn't he?
No, Lucas. To be fair, Chief was quite quiet. He didn't really do much. The biggest joker of the pack was Gaz Kelly, without a shadow of a doubt. Kells was mental. He still is mental. We love him. Him and Sharpie together, Kev Sharp and him together, just like, it's like a firework going off. It's just, you didn't know if your clothes were going to be on fire when you came up, hung up when you came up. But I think characters is different. I think, what I miss is, and I don't know if football's like this now, is somebody coming in and giving a bollocking when it's needed. And I think, as a young kid, you kind of need that. I made my full debut against Notts Forest away. I came on for Lucas when he did his cruciate at home against Coventry, and I played the next game. Gary Speed was suspended, and God rest his soul. And there's a massive character within the changing room in the first place with Speedo. And but John Pemberton pinned me up at half time, and it was my full debut. It's that's how it should be in a way. He pinned me up because he thought it was my fault why Brian Roy had got free when, and the gaffer just let it run for about 5 minutes, just to see how I'd react, or maybe how he would react, or how the other players would react. I don't know. Dave Weatherall then kind of told Pembo to put me down. He's a big lad.
Put him down.
And he used to ruin me. Got him an Adidas contract, everything, and this is what he does to me. But I think that's the gaffer just sat us down and he goes, Pembo, you're wrong. He was right and you were wrong. And I think that's the thing within changing rooms. That was forgotten. Yeah. I think the problem which we had, I go back to when we were in the Championship, especially when we played against Derby, and I'd use Derby as an example. I think Berardi getting sent off was a massive disappointment. I think we could all see it coming, but I think there's something else, I think, for me, which was bigger in that time. I think we had two players in the last 3 years. Saez was definitely one of them, and Pontus Jansson was definitely another one. There were two bad eggs within the changing room. Pontus Jansson was all about himself, everything about it. When we scored, he was round the crowd. If we were winning, he was picking up the crowd and everybody else. And the crowd don't really see that, and fans don't really see that. But ex-players do. As soon as we lost, he was the first down the dressing room. We straight through, bang, I'm see you later, I'm out of here. And Derby was the prime example. The noise at Derby was unbelievable before that game. The atmosphere in the place was unbelievable. I think there was a bit of a spat at half-time because Berardi was kind of a little bit of an injury. Then he was coming on, then he wasn't coming on, and then he was coming on, and all that kind of stuff was Janssen. Obviously, he did what he did against Villa at home as well, which I think personally, as a player, as an ex-player, I would look at that and go, that's a weakness. Leeds have got a weakness. They've got a weakness in their changing room. They've got a weakness in Pontus Jansson, 100%, because he went against every single person on that pitch. And more importantly, he went against his manager. Derby at home, that fateful night where he came out after and he sat by the hoardings. Again, it was all for Pontus Jansson. It wasn't for anybody else. It wasn't for the fans. It wasn't because he was pissed off that we'd lost. It was all because Pontus Jansson had a different thought process about himself. And I think this is the difference now, which you've got with Leeds to what we were when we were in the Championship. We don't have one person in that changing room who's a bad egg. Every single person. And this comes from the very, very top for me. It comes from Andrea, Angus, Victor, the whole shebang coming down that egg slot, all the way to the players, all the way down to the 23s, all the way down to the under 8s, under 6s. They've all pulling in the same direction. Every player at this football club at this present moment in time is pulling in the same direction. And it just shows you how much camaraderie is. And what I like and say from our side of it is we're all still in contact at this present moment in time. We all still speak to each other. I'm actually going for a walk with Tony Dorigo on Saturday with his missus. We go out for dinner quite a lot. I'm still in touch with Brian Dean. I'm still in touch with Noel Wheel. I'm still in touch with, we speak to Mel every other day. Mel rings somebody just to have a moan up about something. But, we're still in touch with everybody. Even Dylan Kerr, for instance. Dylan's out in South Africa. He's coaching out there. We're still in touch with Dylan. There's still contact between us all. So, and that's the art of, I suppose, social media and things like that. So the camaraderie comes, and the big characters within your changing room are the ones who come in and can give you a real good kind of rollicking, but also the ones who can, when we've had a bad loss on a Saturday, who come in on a Monday and are jovial and laughing and joking and things. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about that result. You just got to get on with it. And some people will be in that state where they do go a little bit in the shell. Oh, I didn't play right well on Monday. You know, my fault for that goal. And what can you do about it? You know, train as hard as you can this week. Get out, wait for the game whenever it is. Get out there and prove everybody wrong. And I think that's what we're doing at this present moment in
time. Yeah. Smashing. So with that in mind, sorry, can you hear my dogs screeching at the door? How do you see? Obviously, I think we're probably safe enough to say that we are safe this year. How do you see the summer recruitment going? If we want to push on, because of that camaraderie is going to be so important that we've got to be really careful on who comes into the club. And I'm sure Victor Orta and everyone else are going to do their due diligence and some real detail about the players' personality, not only their character, but how they can play football as well. Do you see us having a busy summer then, in terms of pushing on and to push for potentially a higher top half or even European places next season?
I personally do think we need some more recruitment. They'll be looking. They'll have the lists already. You know, Victor, he comes on our calls and, you know, every now and again, and the passion which comes from him, I think he can buy any player really just from his passion. I think we're lacking in a few places. You know, I think left back is a place we struggle. Centre half, we've struggled because we've had 2 internationals who have been out, which has been unfortunate. But then can they cope with, you know, first season in with Bielsa and Bielsa ball and how he plays and how much fitness you've got to have? You know, is that something which you know comes into there? I think the biggest thing for me at the minute is we need somebody who's going to take over Kelvin's spot when he's injured. You know, because I think every time Kelvin's not playing, we can see that there's a gaping hole. I think the game yesterday, you know, against Arsenal, we've missed him massively. We've missed him. You know, we missed him at all games he's not played. Even in the Championship, we missed him because he is that good. I think that, you know, having somebody who can just come into that role and just kind of nip in a little bit and just go, yeah, I can come into there. Is it Stuart Dallas? Is it Click? Is it, you know, I don't know. I think something in there would be quite good. But yeah, I think, look, they'll have the lists already. Yeah, it looks like we're safe, but we'll be safe when we're points-wise safe. We've got a busy little time coming up. We've got teams around us to play, so we can get a bit of a run. I thought, you know, Arsenal, we played all right second half. First half, we were shocking. You know, a silly mistake from the keeper. You know, but let's be right. This keeper's been absolutely unbelievable for us since he's been in, and saved us a lot more points than he's given us away. And you know, we go back to the whole thing. It's like the whole team's in this, and not just the keeper. He won't be pinned up and go, "It's your fault." You know, which I do see sometimes on social media. People do pinpoint some people very, very quickly. You know, but this kid is, he's 20-year-old, still learning his trade, and he's been fantastic for us this year since he's coming from, you know, for that. I think he needs some support, without a shadow of a doubt. I think Kiko needs to be moved on, and I'm sure that'll be something which is in the pipelines of some sort. Look, every football club needs recruitment. Our recruitment in the summer was fantastic.
Agreed, yeah.
You know, we brought in four internationals at least, you know, and, you know, you've got Koch in there, you've got Lorente in there, who were 2 internationals, you know, in their own right. You've got Rodrigo, who looks a right player, and Rafinha, who is pretty much a finished article, you know. Yeah. The biggest thing for me is that we can keep hold of these players, you know.
I think we'll get 2 or 3 years out of them anyway, but I think that'll be about the size of it, you know.
I think you're right, but I think the other side of that is, you know, and you look at our club balances things, do we sell somebody and bring 3 or 4 players in? You know, it won't go down well with some fans, you know, but that's...
This one here, it won't go down well with me.
If you look at, like, you know, you look at Pontus when he left as an example, people were like, oh, how are we going to change? How are we going to do them? We got twice the player in Ben Wright.
Yeah. Great point.
You know, you've got to think that football evolves and football moves on, and players have a value, and as soon as they hit that value to a certain point, do you cash in and get 3 or 4 players who can fit in your team as good and maybe even better? Go back to what we were talking about earlier on about a team and not an individual.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. It's like this is the hard thing which Victor's got to sort, and also, you know, the chairman's got to sort. You know, they've got to, in their own heads, they have to kind of obviously get the club to be the highest point they possibly can, with the books being very good, but also with a football team which is playing great football. You know, if it was me, I'd have Rafinha on a 5-year contract tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%.
Make him the best paid player in the club. I'd put Kelvin up there with him as well. Give him the money, you know, and then get Bielsa to sign at the end of the season, because I'm pretty sure Marcelo will want to be in that football ground with a full capacity. I think we might only get 1 more year potentially. You know, my worry is then who comes in, because this is the longest he's ever done in a football club. He's obviously got Leeds at heart. He loves the football club. He loves the city. You know, my worry is that he's not been at a football club for this long ever before. You know, so what are the building blocks for that part? You know, so these are all the things which we talk about the backroom staff. They're all building these little blocks already. And there'll be little things which are going on all the time. So
absolutely,
we always need recruitment. But if we sell one of our best players, we get 3 or 4 of our an equal. If put it a different way, I'll try and put it a different way. So we sold Rafinha as an example, all right? So let's say we sold him for 70 million quid. We bought him for 17.
Yeah.
Right? And we go and buy 4 more players like Rafinha at 17 million quid. You're going to be happy.
We are going to be happy, but on the argument to that, I think it's because Rafinha's slotted in and he's just come up to speed so quickly, and he's almost come straight in. Obviously the other guys have been injured, which fair enough, but he's just come in and he's just come up to standard, and he's shown he's a class above, hasn't he? Let's be honest. And I think 100%. Finding 4 players that are going to be guaranteed to fit into the team and produce performances. If you could guarantee me, Andy, I'd snap your hand off, don't worry. If you could guarantee me now that if we sell him, we'll get 4 players of equal quality, gives them. But yeah.
This is the thing with recruitment. This is what Victor's there for. You know, you look at this team, look at when we played Leicester. You know, there was a time against Leicester that we had every single player on that football pitch played in the Championship for Leeds United.
Yeah.
You know, you tell me a Premiership club which has gone from the Championship up into the Premiership which have ever done that.
I don't think you can. Yeah, non-existent.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
So you have to, like Bielsa, we have to trust him. Whatever decision he makes. I saw it yesterday. Well, why, you know, team selection. Why is he putting him here? Why is he putting him there? Why is he putting this? You know, he's got us where we are. We were 10th in the Premier League. Let's leave the guy alone. Let's. You know, we've got so many Marcelo Bielsas out there on social media.
Yeah.
The guy is God, really, to Leeds United. He's the one. He's like Don Revie is. You know, the guys who come through, and you know, Normans and Eddies and these kind of people. There'll be a statue of him without a shadow of a doubt. You know, there'll be, you know, like Billy and everything else. He'll be there. He'll be up on a big, massive statue somewhere at some point. We'll march
sat on a bucket. Do you reckon he'll be sat on the bucket? He's got to be, hasn't he?
I don't know. I'd get him standing up, me personally. You know, but you've just got to let him go. He's an enigma. He's a guy who you know, gets so much out of the players he's got and makes the players better. And that's most likely why Rafinha came, and Rodrigo came, because they knew that he would make them better. And is that a stepping stone for them? Is that how they look at it? Oh, I'm going to come to Leeds. I'm going to stepping stone up to a huge contract at one of the top 2 clubs or whatever. So I think Rafinha could play in any football club in the world. This year. You know, so, and there's reports Barcelona are interested in him at the minute, and a few others. But you know, we've got him at the minute, and there ain't a lot going on. You know, January transfer window, there's normally quite a few strange things go on in January, and there's been none this year. And is it realistically, is that because of Brexit? Is it because of the virus? Is it because, you know, the money's just not, he's drying up a little bit, and we might hopefully have picked up an absolute gem in the summer, and we keep him for 4 or 5, 6 years. Yeah, absolutely.
I go back to your Barcelona comment there. I was actually listening to a radio station, and they were talking about there's information that's been leaked about Messi's contract recently. And basically, Barcelona are in debt to the tune of about 700 million at the moment, like, with no way of paying it. This is why it looks like Messi is off in the summer somewhere. But I was just thinking, I won't fear Barcelona coming after Rafinha when I heard
but
that.
Liverpool,
like, that was just when you were saying
talks
it,
of Liverpool as well, weren't there? I think if any club that's playing Champions League football that are earning the wonga can flash a bit of cash to Leeds. At the end of the day, you know what I mean. You're gonna have to sell him. He's probably likely gonna want to go and test himself at that level as well. Because realistically, are Leeds going to be playing Champions League football in the next year or two? Probably not. If we're realistic, if we're optimistic, yeah, we'll be winning the league. But to be realist, I think if we were flashed enough money and we had a ready-made replacement, I think we'd have to take it anyway, because it's what Victor's job is. It's not our job sat on Twitter to decide who we keep and sell, is it? I'm afraid.
But like, for the first time in nearly 16 years, we're in a position of power when it comes to players, which is a nice, refreshing place to be, because we're not looking to sell to a Norwich at a cut price because we have to. We're in a position now where we can go, look, we want 80 million for him. If you don't give us 80 million, then you're not getting him. It's as simple as that. He's on a 4-year contract. And for the first time in over a decade, we can actually sit there and go, well, no, we don't actually have to now. No, and absolutely. I think that's probably, it's a bigger pull for us as supporters to know that kind of confidence is there, that we don't have to sell anymore, which is good. We went from a selling club to a not. Yeah,
that's also the side of it. When you look at, you go back 4 years ago, we had Chelino in charge, we had David Ockade as manager, we had
Solomon Dakara.
That idiot Evans in charge. It's not that long ago when we had these people who were, involved with a football club. And I think, Andreas come in and he has just revolutionized the whole place. I think he's revitalized the fans. He's revitalized the city. He's revitalized, everything about what Leeds United's ethos is. And he got us. I think he got us very, very quickly. He got what the city was about. He got what the players were about. He got what the fans were about. And he went about to do his business. And I think, the business he's done with bringing Angus in, with bringing Victor in. Victor got a lot of stick. You got to remember, he got a lot of stick for bringing some players in. But now we're seeing, why he brought these players in. Because these players could improve. The statistics told us that. They just needed a manager who could do that. Yeah. And no offense to any of the managers out there, but Steve Evans, coming in and doing what he did and things. Hockaday, the same thing. Even Christiansen, he was at Barcelona and things, but realistically, did they have the right criteria in the background to take us where we wanted to? Victor brought the name of Marcelo to the table, and everyone, by all accounts, round the table went, "You're having a laugh," and he said, "Leave it with me." And lo and behold, the next thing we know, he's the manager, and the rest is history. And he's also brought the same really as what Andreas brought in. I don't think any other manager would have maybe brought the same kind of pleasure for everybody to go back and watch Leeds. We've all watched some shit football, let's be honest, at times. Really, really bad football, and we've got to go and talk about it and say it's been good. We really have, but then now we've seen our jobs are really easy. Our jobs at the ground is just so simple, because it's the football we play is just a pleasure to watch.
It's exquisite.
It is. It's a real nice time to be a Leeds United fan. To be fair, we've deserved it. I think, given the past 16 years plus, I think we've been due this nice period. What does worry me slightly is what you said about Bielsa leaving in a year's time and who we do replace him with. I think that is key if he does leave in a year's time. I'm hoping he'll stay probably for another 10 or 15 or something. But yeah, no, we can all be
Retire.
optimistic. Listen, Andy, I do appreciate we've only got a few minutes left with you. So one thing I just wanted to do really quickly before you shoot it off, shooted, whatever it is, before you shoot off, is just a quick fire 5 questions, and then I want the first answer that comes into your head, if that's all right.
All right, go on then.
Best player you've ever played with?
Gary McAllister.
Best player you've ever played against?
Fat Ronaldo.
Good shout.
Nice.
Who's the teammate who was most likely to get locked up on a night out?
Oh. That's not a quick fire one. That I've got to think about.
Shall we come back to that?
I'm thinking of Leeds because there's plenty more up in Carlisle and Blackpool. In them days. He's got to be Kells. It's got to be Gaz Kelly.
Yeah. Who wouldn't you have had a scrap with out of all your teammates? Who wouldn't you have fought?
Bats.
And last but not least, who is your LUFC hero?
Oh, my hero. He knows this as well. Mel Sterland. I was a right back going through, and Mel's just an absolute legend. Legend as a man as well as a player, and I see him at match days. He's fantastic.
Great.
But one of my heroes is Strack. I'd have to say Strack as well would be up there because Strack. You looked up to Strack when I was coming through at that point. He was a skipper. He was called Skip as well. But those two in that era for me were definitely two which I would be looking up to, and maybe not for advice from Mel. Maybe not that way, but as a player, definitely. I'd have could watch Mel all day long.
Smash him.
And I just one final question. What was your most memorable moment playing football? Just in general, all the football you played, what was your most memorable moment?
I think that's pretty simple, really, for all professional footballers. It's a cliche what we say, making your debut. It's something which nobody can ever take away from you. It doesn't matter what league you're in, what you're playing in. It's what everybody on the stands are wanting to do, and you've been very privileged to be able to do that. And the disappointing thing, I suppose, is that you don't realise it at that time. You realise it later on in life, and because you just think it's normal. But
it's just another process in your professional career.
It's just a promotion. It's just something which you're going for. But making your debut. My biggest disappointment really was not being able to score, not scoring at Ellen Road. Really, just knocking on from that was, I scored away from Ellen Road a couple of times, but actually scoring at Ellen Road was, I didn't manage that. But no, making my debut for England under 21s as well. It's pretty. The two of them were pretty special.
That's the stuff. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. True gent. I really appreciate your honest feedback of your time at Leeds and the game in general, up to now, really, I suppose. We will certainly be tagging you in this when it goes out at Andy Couzens 23 if anybody wants to get in touch. And Andy's got a website as well. It's just andycouzens.co.uk if you want to have a look at what he's up to these days. But yeah, nothing left to say, but thanks ever so much, and look forward to hopefully catching up again sometime in the near future, Andy.
Absolutely.
No problem whatsoever. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Andy.
Thanks for your time. Cheerio.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sorry, mate. What do you think about that then?
That was grand, yeah. It was good crack.
Yeah.
He answered all my fucking questions when he just started talking, so I was just sitting there fucking redundant as fuck. Like.
I know. What a gent, though. What a proper nice fella. Literally, I could have talked to him for 2 or 3 hours, to be fair, about football and Leeds.
Yeah.
Could have literally sat there and talked to him forever, because you could tell he's a proper fan, couldn't you? Do you know what I mean? He's a proper Leeds fan. And I think that makes it a lot easier for us as fans to speak to, not just an ex-Leeds player, but an actual Leeds fan as well. And I really enjoyed that. As I said, I had loads more questions I could have asked him, but I was conscious we only had him till 3:30. He's got an appointment at 4:00. So.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, so he says,
Oh, right.
I said, yeah, an hour will be plenty, thinking would have been over within 45 minutes, but I could have literally carried on that for another couple of hours, to be fair. So might try and get him back on and go into the people he played with. I had a big list. I wanted to ask him about what sort of personalities they were like and stuff. But yeah, no, wicked that. Well enjoyed.
It's nearly one of them interviews where you could sit in a pub and just have a camera recording the fucking three, just sitting there and having a few pints and a chat.
Exactly. I could listen to it. Like, he's probably got loads of stories that he probably couldn't go into. Didn't have time to. But yeah, what a guy! I can't believe he only made just less than 40 appearances though. Like over 4 years.
Yeah.
But saying that, he was up against Gary Kelly at right back, who was Mr. Consistent, wasn't he? Very rarely injured as well.
Hardly ever. So yeah, it was always going to be tough for him because Gary was kind of nearly established in the team at that stage, like, you know.
Yeah, it was good though. I well enjoyed listening.